Hi, Bob Seska. Happy third indictment.
I was just bragging off the air that I made it through Tweetless Tuesday.
Ah.
So if Mark Hamill's listening, I deserve some bonus points for
Thank
that.
you.
Because
Thank you.
I'm
I did.
so addicted.
I didn't tell Chris, and I forgot because he tweeted our usual stuff about who's on the show.
Right.
But I didn't tweet personally, Mark. I just want you to know.
But
And it was, listen, indictment day is a hard day not to tweet, Mark. So I just hope the force was with you for sure.
And as Bob and I pointed out, you rarely tweet anyway.
Well, you know what? But at me mentioning the loneliest runner, that got a lot of people to break the Tweetless Tuesday, and I apologize. I broke Twitter by not knowing the name of the TV movie where the guy became a great runner because he had to take, because he's a bedwetter.
For me, I'm just completely addicted. I'm like Ewan McGregor in Train Spotting, diving into the toilet to retrieve the drugs. That's me with Twitter. And so yesterday, we not only dropped the podcast, but right after we dropped the podcast, this huge indictment news came down. And I'm just sitting there sweating and shaking and having the DTs. There was a baby crawling on the ceiling. I was just
Thanks, Mark. Did Mark know he was picking indictment day to tell us?
I think he did. I think he did.
But good for Mark, though. We're standing up against a maniacal, sociopathic billionaire who's changing everything on this big platform.
Mark, I'm sorry. I'm the one that broke Twitter. Liz tweeted, like other progressives, I'm trying to stay off Elon's platform today. Then Stephanie Miller recalls the movie about the runner who got so good because his mom hung out his pee sheets. I remember that movie, so I had to get on X anyway. The Loneliest Runner. People were like, it's the Loneliest Runner with Lance Kerwin. And sorry. You would think the indictments would have broken the Tweetless Tuesday pledge.
Right.
Did they call it X? I call a foul on that one. They lose points for calling it X.
Yeah.
It's always going to be, just call it Twitter. It's always going to be Twitter. I don't care what he said. I was glad to see that ridiculous thing came down off the roof of his building that was in San Francisco.
Can you imagine living across the street from there and having that shine into your apartment at night?
Yeah.
Such a
Kenny Rogers Roasters Seinfeld episode.
Yes.
That was unbelievable.
Bob, we've been talking all morning because, you and I, we all marinate in this, and you really think you have lost the ability to be shocked. And I have to say, I read this indictment, and you can't, holy, right? It is, I guess it's just being confronted with Trump's, I don't know what else to call it, breathless criminality in black and white is still has the ability to surprise, doesn't it?
Right. Well, I remember when the world exploded after Barack Obama was seen wearing a tan suit.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, God. Oh, Bob,
and so
don't bring up the trauma again.
With this news, I mean, this, it's a weird dynamic because this is so unusual and so historical and so enormous that it seems like no matter how much enthusiasm we have about it, no matter how much coverage there is of it, it's not enough. Because, I mean, I can't emphasize this strongly enough. Donald Trump not only has been indicted for obstructing justice, he's been indicted for espionage. He's been indicted now for a conspiracy against the United States. He's been indicted for a conspiracy to deprive people of their right to vote.
Yes.
He has been impeached twice. He lost the popular vote in 2016, lost the midterms in 2018, lost his re-election campaign, lost the midterms right after that, and this is their latex salesman.
Bob,
this is the guy that no
Bob,
other Republican can defeat.
That's
how down the rabbit hole we are in politics in this country.
But also, and I get it, polls are this far out, but the fact that he's tied with Biden in any poll of any kind is really a testament to how far we've fallen. And I don't, we're going to talk to Jill Wine-Banks, but I mean, it just, as many people have said, Nixon nothing would have happened if there was Fox News and right-wing radio. And this better than anybody, that I don't know how we get half our country back. I mean, it really is. It's just stunning, and you have to hope that maybe this trial and televising it, that it'll chip away and chip away. What do you think?
Has to be televised, absolutely. Yes. And one of the main reasons is to get all of this information out there, because the red hats are going to be looking in on what's happening in the courtroom because they want to see their messianic hero defend himself. Right. But what they're going to hear is that Donald Trump, in the context of this particular trial, and it's all over the indictment. I was highlighting it as I went.
Yeah.
That Donald Trump knew that these claims were false about the election.
Yeah.
It says there's several times in the indictment, knowingly false claims. Jack Smith repeats again and repeats again and repeats again throughout the indictment. And so this is the kind of thing they need to hear. Now, not that it's going to change their minds necessarily, but you don't need to change everyone's minds in our politics these days. We're talking about 1 or 2 percentage points here or there. You pick that up, and that's winning election. I mean, you could actually have a landslide election by winning every race by just a couple of points. So it's those swing voters that absolutely need to be seeing this and basking in it, absorbing this information, knowing that this ex-president committed this conspiracy.
You know, Bob, and to your point, I was just thinking when I went upstairs about, everybody going, no, this is the most important one. And it's just the fact that we're even going, is sedition is worse than espionage? It's just, isn't it all just incredibly awful and the most serious crimes you could be charged with? I mean, it's the flooding the zone thing. I mean, it's very difficult for people to keep track of all of it, and that's part of the strategy. That's the Steve Bannon, Donald Trump flood the zone strategy. If they continuously are committing crimes, then it's almost impossible to keep track of them. That's the genius thing about them going after Hunter Biden. They've got one target, one thing, and one thing alone. And they're putting all their eggs into that Hunter Biden basket, even though we know that it's complete BS. And there's been obviously hearings and so on in the past few days. And the basket has no bottom.
That investigation apart. With Devin
the
Archer
basket has
so
no
on.
Bottom, and there's just scrambled eggs, and it's nothing.
Exactly. Well, but with Donald Trump, he's committed so many crimes, and they're all so serious. At some point, it was like what I was saying a second ago. At some point, people started to get numb to it. Like they can't keep espionage, what he did with the servers and the obstruction of justice, and now there's this conspiracy to commit fraud and use the Department of Justice to overturn the election, and then. Oh my God!
It's like
imagine being just someone driving their kids to soccer practice and trying to keep track of all of this stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I always think
you're
about.
right. And somewhere in that weird, bizarro world, it works to his benefit. Like, oh, it's all fake news. It's all a witch hunt. Like, it's almost like a mass murderer going like, I can't. But Ted Bundy, he killed that and that woman, and also that. Oh no, I can't take that anymore. It's all must be fake news.
That's
the
delusion.
It's like no, he has committed all of these serious crimes. It's as bad as you and worse than you think.
Right. It's the delusion of his disciples that allows them to continue to worship this guy, even though it's so funny. He is the most notorious liar in the world right now, at least when it comes to the national stage and so on. The guy who lies about everything, and yet his disciples believe everyone else is the liar and he's the one telling the truth.
Yeah.
That's how upside down we are.
Let me get your take. Harry Littman said so many significant points are just pouring in from everyone's initial look at the very speaking indictment. I'll let the first wave of comments speak for themselves. Save one point. Perhaps the most significant aspect of the indictment is that Trump is the sole defendant. I mean, clearly, as we've been saying, Jack Smith is going for the jugular. He's going for the top. He's going for the speedy trial, knowing... It feels like we're in some movie, right? Like we're racing time to get the bad guy. I mean, that's what it feels like.